Stories of Great Christians. From its radio studios in Chicago, the Moody Bible Institute greets its friends everywhere with Chapter 14 in the transcribed story of Peter Marshall, Chaplain of the United States Senate. The story is based on Catherine Marshall's biography, A Man Called Peter, published by the McGraw-Hill Book Company.
Covington, Atlanta, a recent trip to Scotland were all in the past. Peter was officially installed as pastor of New York Avenue Presbyterian Church on October 20th, 1937, with Dr. Albert Joseph McCartney of the Covenant First Presbyterian Church preaching the sermon. The Reverend John A. Wood, my father, gave the charge to the minister, and Dr. Albert Evans, associate pastor of the New York Avenue Church, gave the charge to the congregation. On Peter's first morning, he preached on salvation's paradox. That you, Peter?
Hello, Kate. Tired.
You look it. Just relax for a bit. Been real busy?
Mm-hmm.
What's in the package?
Package? Oh, I forgot.
Well, it's so big, I don't see how you could.
It's a picture for over the mantel.
Oh, not another picture.
Why not, Kate? You said we needed a picture there, and this is a beauty.
May I guess what kind of a picture it is?
Why, sure. But you'd never guess.
Peter, there are only 3 or 4 things you ever buy. Either postage stamps, British colonials, pressed Argus glass, clocks. Do you know we now have 13 clocks in the house?
Well, this isn't a clock.
Oh, I know the package is too small. It isn't stamps or glassware either.
I said it was a picture, didn't I?
Mm-hmm, and I was coming to pictures. There's only one kind of picture you would buy, a seascape.
Ah, but this is a good one. Winslow Homer's Nor'easter. But how did you ever guess?
Oh, Peter.
You asked to see me, Pastor?
Yes, Mr. Eddington. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. Is anything the matter? I mean, is everything satisfactory to you at the manse or at the church?
We have no complaints at all, personally. It's about the church I want to speak to you.
The church? Yes.
I've been visiting the Sunday school classes these past few weeks, and really, our attendance is disgracefully small.
Well, we're a city church, and, well, there aren't too many children here, right in the center of the city, you know.
But our membership embraces all of Washington, Mr. Eddington. I'm especially concerned about the older teenagers, the high school students and the college students. This is an important time in their lives. If we lose them now, we've probably lost them for life.
That's true, of course.
Our one teenage Sunday school class has only 12 members. 12 members, Mr. Eddington.
It's not very many, is it?
Indeed it isn't. Now, you've asked me to teach the adult class on Sundays. I'd like to have your permission to drop that responsibility.
Oh, but Dr. Marshall, the pastor has always taught the adult class.
I think the young people need me more. I'd like to teach that teenage class.
The teenage? Well, I'll have to talk to the others, but personally, I have no objection if you really want to.
Glad you could visit us today, Peter. Just make yourself at home. You'll find this bunch doesn't put much stock in formalities.
Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Blackwelder.
Not at all. There are only 4 of us, and we meet every Friday. And since Dr. Sizu used to be a member of our group, well, we wanted you to join us, too.
It's an honor.
Now let me introduce the men to you.
Right?
There's Howard Anderson of the First Congregational Church. He's our comedian. And then Dr. John Rustin of Mount Vernon Methodist. And we call him Pack 'em in, Rustin, because he's always talking in such big numbers. And then there's Cranny, Dr. Clarence Cranford of Calvary Baptist. And, of course, you know me. I'm from the Church of the Reformation.
What do they call you, Doctor?
Sun-crowned Oscar, that's what. You see, Peter, I once preached a sermon on sun-crowned men, and this is the result. Gentlemen, this is Dr. Peter Marshall.
How do you do, gentlemen? Happy to meet you.
And now, just to make sure we're all in the same jolly boat, I think we'll be having a name for you too, Peter. And how about Twittering Birds Marshall? You see, Peter, we must give the poet his due.
Well, it's not the first time I've been kidded about my style of preaching.
Peter, we were talking about some of our church problems as you came in, backsliding particularly. Frankly, we have as many backsliders in our church as a dog has fleas.
Well, that's a good word you Methodists use, Dr. Rustin, which we Presbyterians never mention. Of course, we do practice it.
I think Rustin has met his match. Peter, has the Council of Churches seen you yet about preaching the Christmas sermon?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, you know what it is. An annual affair sponsored by all the Washington churches. I understand they're going to ask you to preach.
But I've only been here 3 months.
Well, in that case, we can't claim any credit for your abilities. It's an important service, Peter. The president always makes it a point to attend.
Do you mind my coming to the office, Peter?
Catherine.
I see you're so seldom at home.
Well, I've got work to do, my dear. I have to be at the office.
I know. I guess I'm selfish. Busy?
You're working on the Christmas sermon.
Oh, going to preach it here?
No, this is one service that's pointed more or less for the president.
I don't understand.
Well, with Mr. Roosevelt being crippled, special ramps have to be built wherever he goes. He has to use a wheelchair, you know.
No, I didn't. You'd never think it from his public appearances.
No. Anyway, we can't use our church because of the steep stairs. A ramp could never be built. So it'll be held at the First Presbyterian Church.
Have you decided on a topic yet?
Yes, I think so. These are trying days, Catherine. Looks like war clouds are gathering again. I'll preach Christ as always, but especially as the one solution to our national and international problems. Christmas is a good time anyway to relate Christ to daily living.
That's good. Peter, God is blessing, don't you think?
Yes?
I mean, look at the attendance and the 2 services every Sunday morning to accommodate the crowds.
I know, Kate. But I'm not overly impressed with crowds.
Well, there's your Sunday school class. You began with 12 members, and now there are over 200.
I am happy about that. Still, you know, Catherine, it's strange, but I can't feel at home here. I have much more freedom in preaching when I'm away from Washington.
Why, dear?
Oh, I don't know. I wish I did. Maybe it's because this is such an old church, so rich in tradition.
Well, what does that have to do with it?
Well, we have so many kinds of people in the church. Government clerks, judges, congressmen, laborers. And yet somehow I feel that as a whole, our people are rich and self-satisfied. And perhaps even a little snobbish.
You mean you just can't get to know them?
Yes. I guess I've had too much democracy in my background, Kate. Too much working with my hands. Excuse me. Yes? Yes, this is he. Mrs. Palmer, of course. Oh, I'm very sorry. I'll be right over. You know Mrs. Palmer?
Yes.
Her husband just died.
Oh, I'm sorry. She'll need comfort.
Kate, it looks like the rich and the famous have heartaches too.
You're definitely going through with your citizenship, Peter?
Yes, Catherine, I've made up my mind.
There's no pressure on you to do it, is there?
Oh, no. I want to show my appreciation to America for all she's done for me.
I'm glad.
Catherine, I'll be taking my oath of allegiance in Atlanta. Maybe you'd like to make the trip with me.
Would I? I should say.
I thought you'd like that. Kate, turn on the radio. There's a broadcast from London I want to hear.
Any particular station, dear?
No, all the networks are carrying it. Hush.
Take you now to London to join the facilities of the British Broadcasting Corporation for a special message from King Edward VIII.
A few hours ago, I discharged my last duty as King and Emperor. I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as King without the help and support of the woman I love.
Peter.
I now quit altogether public affairs, and I lay down my burden. It may be some time before I return to my native land.
How awful. The thing for which he was born.
And now, we all have a new king. I wish him and you, his people, happiness and prosperity with all my heart. God bless you all.
Turn it off, Catherine.
Peter, you're crying.
I ask you, how can a man cast off a heritage like that?
Some of the letters Peter received as pastor of the New York Avenue Church were indescribably bitter. There was one he got shortly after he became a citizen of the United States, and after he made a particularly scathing attack upon what he considered an abuse of Christian principles.
Children like yourself cannot stand a small measure of success. You're unwilling to remain as meek as you were when you came under the quota. Now you, with your drooling oral slime, you tell us Americans how to run the country. You talk rabble-rousing with a touch of golf thrown in and a bit of flag waving at the end for applause. We don't need or want your cowardice. Be born again or move out.
I think Peter had this letter in mind when he said from the pulpit one Sunday morning,
Sometimes we receive letters that cut us to the quick. We should promptly search ourselves in the light of these letters and see how we may profit by them. And then, just as promptly, burn the letters and forget them.
However, Peter didn't always follow his own good advice. Through the years, he kept a few of the worst letters. Perhaps he thought they would help to keep him humble. As if there would not be enough problems in the future to take care of that.
And so we conclude Chapter 14 in the transcribed story of Peter Marshall, Chaplain of the United States Senate. This story is based on Catherine Marshall's recent biography of her husband, A Man Called Peter, published by the McGraw-Hill Book Company. This is another in the series of Stories of Great Christians, which come to you from the radio studios of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.